for me at least, I actually have my ethics posted on my business page. My kids know that when I'm buried, I wanted to say she was a woman of integrity on her tombstone.
Right,
Uh, I, but no, we aren't all full of integrity, but just because you met a bad one doesn't mean the rest of us are.
right.
Give us a chance.
Yep. That leads to an important point. There are charlatans out there in general.
Mhm.
I don't know what word, but that's the word that comes to mind.
I love
Not
that word.
not everybody has the best intentions in any profession. It doesn't matter. But
Exactly.
this one does have a lot of um, connotation
Snake
and
oil
skepticism.
salesman.
Yes. So, for those who might be curious but also cautious, what advice would you give them on how to find a reputable ethical practitioner like yourself and to avoid the scams that are out there because they are?
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is do the same thing when you apply for a job. What's the boss do? He looks at your references. Well, if they're smart, they'll look at your references. Ask for references.
Okay.
Ask if there are people. Like I said, I'm going to once you post this, I'm going to have Pat watch it, read your newsletter, and I'm going to ask her to comment. Although she has actually already left a review on my Facebook business page,
Right.
but don't be afraid to say, can you give, because even though, yes, we need to maintain confidentiality, at least I do,
Right.
because I'm also an interfaith minister. Not only am I, I know a lot of readers that will share stories um, and don't keep secrets. For
Okay.
me, because I'm also a minister, it's, these stories that I'm telling, I know you're never going to know who Brenda is,
Right.
and that was from the 90s, you know
Right.
what I mean? And Pat has already posted publicly, so I could
Right.
say, Pat, we joke about all the time. She tells me I'm wrong. She waits. She calls me back and says, you were right again. This is not private. She has said this to my friends and everything.
Right.
Ask for references, look at reviews. I know a lot of people, there are spiritual groups on Facebook, like the Essential Wellness Society, and I forget spiritual something. I'd have to bring them up. There's the 411 group.
Right.
People will ask in there. But here's what I'm going to say is don't always listen to what you're seeing posted either,
Right.
because there is a lot of nepotism, a lot of favoritism, a lot of people who will say so and so is good, but that's because they're their best friend, not
Right.
necessarily because they are good at what they do. But in certain cases, like myself, I actually have um, a certification from the American Association of Professional Psychics and my hypnotherapy. So if we're talking about people that are Reiki masters, hypnotherapists, don't be afraid to say, can I see your certification?
Credentials. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see your credentials. Can you send me a review or two, or is there somebody I could call to get a reference on what you're doing? If we're ethical, we have no problem with saying, yes, let me check with so and so and make sure, and I will give you a contact, or go to my Facebook page and look at this review, or see how the response is at like Body Mind Spirit Expo or
Right.
whatnot. One of my reviews on Facebook is actually from the showrunner from the Oddity and Curiosity expos that go on here. They have 3 every year.
Right.
And the showrunner of those, Tiffany, she was one of the first people to leave a review on my Facebook page. And she's like, if you're having an event, you want Laurel there. You
Right.
know, you want people that say like that they themselves are verifiable. Tiffany is clearly the person who runs these shows.
Right.
So she's clearly not going to put it out and pretend to be, the owner of Starbucks.
Right.
You know, look at who's giving the reference, look at the references, don't be afraid. And the other thing is I want to say from the very beginning is trust your gut.
Right.
I actually gave a talk on intuition at the Body Mind Spirit Expo. And the best tool you have, call it your sixth sense, call it your intuition, call it your gut. I don't care which word you use. We all have it. We all have the ability to hear it. Most of us turn it off or think we have to. Ask everybody else for advice.
Right.
Ask your friends, should I ask this person for reading as you're walking around the expo? Don't listen to what your friend says. Trust yourself. And here's the thing, you might be taken, but there's a lesson in that too. I have.
Okay.
I I've been scammed. My first husband and I were scammed and left homeless by a phony CIA recruiter, believe it or not. He was
Wow.
Navy and whatnot. You know what? It happens, but it's just another lesson. And we want those lessons. Again, your mind only works if it's open, but what keeps it open is keeping to learn and grow and have all these life lessons that walk us through. And yes, most of them are not pleasant,
Right. Right.
but some of them are.
Right.
But some of them are. You know, I won a trip to Scotland simply by entering a competition, scavenger hunt. And I didn't win the scavenger hunt, but 1 year later, that was only a weekend in Scotland. 1 year later, I won an 8-day trip to Scotland because I knew I was winning that trip to Scotland.
Wow.
Just trust yourself in it. And yeah, I will send you that link, by the way, to the link to the commercial the Atlanta CW did for us when we won the trip, so you could see it and
Okay.
laugh at me and my older child when we won. But yeah, trust, and ask, what is
Right.
the question? Trust, but um,
Verify.
verify.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. I kind of live by that too, but I am very trusting in general. So
Me
it's
too.
I'll trust you until you prove me wrong kind of thing. So I flop between the two.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's me. I,